Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Kopi With Wawan. It's a series that I started because I wanted to discuss topics that I find interesting, from like films to pop culture, music, and everything else in between. Now this is a special episode where it's in collaboration with the Skinny Bakers, Latte Alligator, and Zee Avi. Now Skinny Bakers is an awesome company which sells cookies such as the movie theater caramel popcorn, and of course we have, the typical classic chocolate chip cookies. You can't go wrong with that. Latte Alligator, on the other hand, they produce really awesome and inspiring artwork like you can see over here. So if you guys want to find out more about our two collaborators, all of it's in the description box below. Just have a look and you'll find out more about them. Now the theme of this episode is on the song by Zee Avi, which is called Who Are You? Now the song is all about us embracing ourselves, our individuality and everything that's unique about us. So it's an awesome song. If you guys haven't heard it yet, please check it out in the description box below, because otherwise I'm going to be singing it here out loud and you guys don't want that. Today's guest is Faiz Dickie. He is one of the many amazing influencers who was featured in the music video. He is a Malaysian influencer who has over 500,000 followers on Instagram. Now his rise to fame was due to the comedic sketches that he does based on the people around him and everyday life. Some of you guys may have seen some of these sketches before. In this interview, I discussed with Faiz on how he deals with the different sides of who he is. In this day and age, we're living in this time where we're dealing with the public perception of who we are and who we actually are behind closed doors, and that does get a bit tricky. So Faiz really shared a ton with me, and I really appreciate everything that he shared, and I've learned a ton from the man, and I can't wait for you guys to tune in. In this episode, we are on location shooting at Faiz's studio. This is episode 1 of the Who Are You series with Faiz Dickie. What was the line in the song that you thought that struck you the most?
For me, it's just the simple line of "Who are you?" The line is being repeated like in the chorus and everything, like "Who are you?" So although it sounds simple, but it's actually, there's a lot behind it. It's like asking people who are they, like who you are individually. So yeah, that's the simple line of "Who are you" means a lot.
And it's a bit double-edged juga kan. Macam the song tu, macam I noticed that the actual lyrics is macam who are you, like telling me what I should do or should be. Sorry guys for the singing. But yeah, so macam that on one hand you tengah bagi tahu orang like kau siapa, to tell me that this is who I am. But at the same time, you're posing that question to the audience macam who are you, in that individual.
Yeah, because I think it's like, it's two different things. It's who you are as a person and who you are as the society perceives you, how the society look at you. So it's always been the case for me as well. Like for me, if you ask me who I am, there's only like a small amount of people that truly know how Faiz Dickie is, right? But how the society look at me is totally different. It's like two different things. And for me, it's quite interesting because I know, like, I could say that everyone is, they don't have like this only one, I would say, face that people see. But it's a multi-dimensional. Dia macam bulat. It's like people see from every sides of, perspective kan.
What I find really interesting also kan is that you do sketches and you play macam caricatures tau.
Betul.
Of macam all this, did I say makcik bawang? Is that like a good term?
Sort of, yeah.
Betul ni your characters. Can you, for the audience music and apa semua, just tell us a bit more about characters?
Okay, to those who are not really familiar about Faiz Dickie, so what makes me famous is that I'm still doing it. Okay, I do this sort of like a short skits on Instagram, where in my Instagram I'm not like this. I portray female characters. So there's Kak Leha Bunting, Cik Yam, and so on. So what makes it different of my videos and so on as compared to others is like I always try to do things that people can relate to, right? The ideas behind each video is something relatable to other people. I started off for fun actually back in 2013. At that time I was still working as a crime reporter for Cosmo. So so being in a crime desk, the job scope is at times is quite stressful. So I needed an outlet to kind of like let go of my creativity and whatnot. So that's why I chose Instagram. At first I started off with like most people like posting selfies, food and so on. But then one day I kind of like figure out, oh, perhaps I can do something, you know, fun. I started posting these comic strips, and kind of evolved when Instagram started introduce this video feature. That is when I started to do short videos and so on.
Crime. So sorry, I'm just going back because I find it very interesting that you mentioned crime reporting. Tau. And going back to macam again the question of who are you apa semua. So it's so interesting. You know, you're such an interesting character for me to meet in the sense of macam, you know, that you have the sketches that you do, which is something that I don't think anybody would terfikir pun to do. You know, macam it's very brave to go out. You didn't do it thinking that it was going to make you money. You know, you just thought that, you know, I just think it's funny if I buat macam all the sketches making fun of this type
everyday
of
life.
Yeah, untuk ni. So how did you, I mean, like seriously, you know, like how you even thought that maybe you were going to do crime journalism for a long time?
Not really. I was more interested in doing feature writing and doing entertainment, but somehow my bosses back then they thought that my specialty in writing, you know, leans towards towards crime. So
was it because you're like a detective?
Not really.
You have a Sherlock Holmes in you somewhere.
It's just that maybe my writing is more towards those kind of serious writing stuff. I'm not sure. But I think that's a good example of who you are, you know. Like people see me as a reporter. That's what they see. But who I am as a person is this guy who likes to do all these fun videos and so on. So it's a quite interesting example.
That's very interesting untuk ni. Yeah. You know, talking about this dual identity that you have, and you were just saying that, you know, some people view you as a writer. But you see yourself more than that. You're like, yeah, that's one aspect of who you are. Tapi macam you're also this guy who likes to come out with comedy sketches apa semua. There's probably a lot of people who view you as just the comedy sketch guy, right? And so macam, just like for the audience, right? You know, for all of us who are out there. So for example, me, I studied law, and I ended up doing media, you know, videos and writing, like, you know, it's quite similar-ish to yours lah, without the 500,000 followers. But you know, so what do you say? You know, some people who would come up to me and say things like, I don't know, you know, like what are you doing with your life, or you failed, or like you didn't do what you were supposed to do,
Yeah, that's the thing. What are you supposed to do, right? It's something that we will never know, because life is a learning process. You never stop learning and gaining something new and so on, right? So for me, some people always consider it's a failure when you don't end up doing something that you're supposed to. For example, if you studied law, you should be a lawyer. If you study mass comm, you should be in the media and so on. But for me, it's you have to keep your options open. It's not like, okay, if you started with something, you have to finish with that same thing as well. Because, you know, just like what, you know, the saying says, it's not how you started, it's how you end.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's okay along the way if you find that, oh, perhaps what I learned before is not something that I'm really passionate about. It's okay for me. It's okay for you to take that kona kiri and go for something else.
Right.
Yeah, because who knows that that kona kiri might bring you and might lead you to something that you really passionate and you really something that you really like doing and so on.
That's fair, right? You know, because if you look at somebody, you know, famously says like Steve Jobs, for example, he didn't go to school like how to build Apple products.
Yeah.
You know, he studied was calligraphy and stuff, right? You know, it was just very somebody would have said to him, well, what does this have to do with like computers? But he saw the link, or it's not just link, but he see it as I'm growing as a person lah kan, untuk ni. So I don't know, you know, macam like, I guess maybe it was something he was interested in since he was like a kid ke apa ke.
Okay, for me, I always for your information, I was the one in my family, the first one to actually go to uni. Right, I have 5 siblings, so I was the last one, and I was the first one to actually get accepted to uni. And then my nieces and my nephews follow. So I always tell them that you do something that you really like, alright? And I always tell their parents, never dictate what your children should do, because I think if you are doing something that you are forced to do, you won't get anywhere. You have to do something that you really like. And some people might say that, oh, okay, if you go for arts, whatever, right? So if you go for arts, it's very hard for you to find job later on in life. But for me, that's okay. If that's what you really like to do, the money will come later.
You find a way.
Yeah, you'll find a way. For me, example, at first, it was never my intention to get money out of Instagram, right? But like I said, the money come later. When people recognize your talent, they know what you can do, and they are willing to put their trust on you. And at the end of the day, they are not going to be, they don't mind paying. Yeah.
This is very important, I feel, bro. All the points that you're making has almost zero to do with macam, the whole, it's not just about the money, it's not just about apa. You're talking, okay, the way I see you, you're like this dude who understands his own self-worth.
Okay.
No, seriously, right? Okay, so you view it this way, because you said that you made these videos because like you thought it was fun, and because you saw that self-worth in yourself, that value in yourself, I think other people saw it too. And then it became something that, last, why would people want to separate themselves from their money again? It's
True,
like,
betul.
you're providing something of value lah.
Yes, and then one thing I have to say as well. Okay, it's one thing that you're passionate about doing something and whatnot, but then luck plays an important part as well. Right? I just got lucky. I was discovered early on. Okay, I was among the first influencers in Malaysia. I was doing Instagram and so on, and I was lucky. And sometimes I cannot deny that although it's a combination of hard work and luck,
yeah, okay.
Right? You have to work hard, you have to be consistent, you have to make videos to get yourself noticed. I think that's what you are doing as well.
Well, I mean, like, like you, I don't have a grand plan, honestly.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just a matter of...
The same as me.
Yeah.
I didn't have any like plan on how to be famous, how to get 500 million followers and so on.
You just like doing this?
Yeah, I was just doing it for the sake of, feel like doing. And then I just got lucky because one of the videos were reposted by one of our local celebrities. So that is when...
Who was it? Can you tell the video? What was
Okay,
it?
I will always be thankful for this.
I see.
It was by Diana Daniel. Diana
okay.
Daniel.
Okay.
She was among the first celebrities who actually reposted my video, and the moment she posted that video, I got like 4,000-5,000 followers instantly.
Wow.
And that is when it kind of like snowballed into something. Yeah.
No, but to be fair also, your stuff had to be good though. It had
true.
to be good. You can't just like, somebody could share anything, because the celebrities would share whatever. So I don't think you should ever discount the fact that the work that you do has to have value lah, So it goes back to who you are. It's still, you still have to. It's the core. It's not the Instagram, right? You don't view yourself as the famous dude or whatever.
Let me just bring you back into the world of social media, right?
Sure.
So right now we have a lot of influencers coming in, right? And how to differentiate yourself from this pool of people is that you have to make great contents. You have to make sure that your contents is just not something that is going to be famous just for 1-2 days, but it's you have to make sure that it has content so that it will kind of like lama lah, right?
Yeah.
So from what I did is was I always make sure that people get something out of my videos. Alright,
Even if it's one person watching.
Even if it change one person's life, that's good enough for me.
Enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, that's how you kind of like, you have to ask yourself like, what do you want to portray, especially in social media. If I want to be famous, I can just do whatever stupid videos that can make me famous,
Yeah.
But I choose not to, because that's not who I am.
Right.
Alright, because I have my family, I have my education.
Yeah.
I don't want people to associate me, Faiz Dickie, who has all this, with something negative. That's one thing that you should ask yourself, like, what you want to do.
You putting up all these videos, you're not really hoping that orang will try to become Faiz Dickie. So you're just thinking that this is you, but you should, because there are people who are probably thinking out there, I want to be famous, I want to make money, so I'm going to copy somebody, because Faiz Dickie made funny videos like that. He wore like tudung, so I'm going to do that too. So what do you say to people like that?
Okay, people say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Okay.
So whenever people copy me, I feel like, okay, best lah. Like people are showing that they want to be me in a way.
Okay.
But what I always say to them is, you have to find your own identity as well, and don't make this just to be Faiz, to make money and so on. It's not. I'm not going to say it's wrong, but it's not the right thing to do.
There's like sometimes also people copy first because, it's a good exercise probably.
Yep, true.
Macam if you were to watch somebody, you imitate them as an exercise, but to try to become
It
somebody
takes
else.
time. It takes
you
time.
need to be.
It's okay for you to start by kind of like imitating somebody else, but along the way you'll pick up
to find yourself.
Yeah, you have to develop your own identity and so on.
Do you face a lot of young people coming up to you?
As a matter of fact, yes. Through DMs, I get a lot of like, people don't just see me as Faiz Dickie who makes these silly videos. Some people look up to me because I've done my studies, I've shared a little bit of my life, and somehow those things inspired them, and they come up to me and share their stories as well and so on. And I noticed that there are a lot of people who are facing the same problems that I have, right? About self-confidence, about relationship, about all these little things. For me, it's a humbling experience for these strangers, although they follow me, but I don't personally know them, to come to me and actually share their story. So it's a humbling experience lah.
I see. Is it because you also realize that people are trusting you with like very sensitive and like
Okay, I'll give you an example. I have my own podcast on YouTube, right? It's the name of the podcast is Borak Topeng Misteri, where we allow people to come and share their deepest, darkest secret.
Anonymously.
Right? Anonymously wearing the topeng kan. So one of the topic was about HIV, which is something that is very taboo, something that is very sensitive to, especially in Malaysia. And after we posted that video, we kind of like received a lot of positive feedbacks.
Okay.
And through DMs, I had like a lot of people coming in and saying like, Faiz Dickie, I ada HIV positive juga. Thank you for making the video. To that extent, like they put aside their ego and whatever and
just
confess to me. And the fact that I don't personally know them, which is like, for me, it's very humbling.
So what would you say? Okay, so you obviously, I don't know, what your schedule is. I'm not going to assume that, but if a lot of people are writing to you, like, I would imagine I get A, I would think it's humbling. But on the B, I'll also be like, please leave me alone. If there's like 10 or 100 messages, I can't even imagine what that's like now. So, but if you could, obviously with these videos, this is how you connect with the people that you can't really reply to each and every one of them. Not because you don't want to, it's just really that we're limited. We're limited.
True.
We can't reply to everyone. What would you say to these people who write to you and they're saying that, oh man, I'm struggling with this, Faiz? Like, what would... if you had like a summary to tell them, how do they come up from their problems?
Okay, I will always I will always try to reply each and every comment, each and every DM. But like you said, we are limited. We have something else to do as well. I don't go Instagram 24/7. So to those who I reply, that means that I'm not gonna say that I notice like. Perhaps whatever that they are asking is something that I can relate to. But to those that I don't reply, perhaps it's just I don't have time, and perhaps sometimes they are asking questions that I don't know how to respond.
Right.
Like for example, I had this one person. She sent a DM asking about she's having problem with the husband, and I'm not even married. I'm not even married. How am I supposed to give you relationship advice to talk to your husband and so on? And
probably could reply, say, talk to a counselor.
Perhaps, but
get qualified, professional help.
So I just kind of like ignore them.
Okay.
But I wish them all the best, because I think that's part of the job of being an influencer, is you have to know that there are people who look up to you, who take you as inspiration, and sort of like I have to give back to them.
That's right. That's a really good way to look at it, because I know people who very cocky very early on. They're not. Some of them don't even need to be influencers or famous or whatever, and they think the world of themselves. They think that everybody owes them. So it's nice that you view it in that way of giving back, right? Because if you think about it, like all of us are in our own way like influencers. As to we're brothers, we're like sisters, your mothers, you're influencing somebody, right?
Well, for me, it takes time as well. You cannot just simply put the blame on these social media people who, people might perceive they are, all about themselves and so on. Because I used to be in that situation. It takes time. At first, it's about fun. Then when you get famous, it's all about yourself. Then after a while, you kind of realize that it's not just about you, it's about you have a power and you should influence somebody else as well. Alright, so there's kind of like a curve of
I love that. I really love that. You know, you're even not judgy or judgmental over the fact that
because I've been in that situation.
That's so interesting. That is very interesting, and I like the way you said it because therefore, you know, it changes my perspective as well. Now I would look at somebody and think they're just going through the phase. They might change later on. It's not my place to say that this person is horrible or that person is apa semua.
Do you are you familiar with Faiz Roslan?
Faiz Roslan, no.
Faiz Roslan, he used to be my followers, right? So I noticed that he always commented on my videos and so on. He does somewhat similar to me, like wearing tudung, doing all these funny gila-gila punya videos and so on. At one point, he got famous, really famous on Instagram, Facebook and so on. But then people start bashing him, right? Because like he was bashed like quite teruk lah. And coming from the same industry, I kind of like, I know what he's going through, alright? Like, he just got his fame, so dia macam
He's trying to get used to it.
Yes. Yeah. Somewhat culture shock tu ada lah, kan? Of course. But you cannot simply put the blame and hentam him all the way because it takes time. Let him take his time, and at one point, I'm confident that he will grow out of it and he'll be more mature.
Look, and a lot of us, like I said, we go through, even our families are overwhelming to deal with, with just small numbers. So if somebody goes through, that kind of attention, it's gonna affect you in a very strong way lah, whether negatively ke, positively ke, but it's going to be very intense.
I have to say that being a social media influencer, it has its pros and cons. Right, the pros, obviously you get to go to a lot of places, you get to receive things that you've never thought of receiving, like this bunch of cookies or whatever.
The cookies, skinny bakers.
I got a lot of opportunities where I get to better myself and so on, right? But at the same time, the cons is just it's always there. Like you get a lot of criticism. You don't have any privacy anymore. You get to face all. Sometimes I can't just simply go out and be myself because there are people watching,
who
right?
Okay,
paparazzi boleh lah.
Everybody's a paparazzi today, right?
With the camera phone, kan?
Yes, like,
so in a way, like you have to balance these two. You have to kind of like equip yourself. If I were to go into this industry, it's not just about all the unicorns and rainbows. You have to face all these troubles as well.
Man, Faiz, you know what? I love everything that you said. I've loved the work that you've done. But we're just about to wrap up in time right now. So just one last thing. Like, if you had one word to describe yourself, I know that's a big question, but one word to describe yourself to your fans, or what would that word be at this time?
One word to describe myself at this moment of time would be, it's not just one word, it's like a phrase. Go with the flow. Yeah. Perhaps the word flow, I don't know. Yeah, because I'm that type of person who doesn't really have like plans and so on, because life is too short for you to be making all these big plans. Sometimes you might not get there, and if you don't get what you want, what you have planned, you'll be very disappointed. So for me, I'm just gonna wing it, go with the flow, and as long as I'm happy, then that should be it. Because some people perceive, being successful with having a lot of money, having big cars and everything. But I've come to learn that being successful means being happy. If you are happy with yourself, doesn't matter that you are here or whatever, it means that you are successful enough. So as for me, I am trying to be happy, and I hope one day I'll get there.
Okay, that's good. That's really great, Faiz. Thank you so very much, man, for coming on the show.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right,
guys. That's it. Thank you very much.
But in models' perspective, I'm plus size. So when people say, "Oh, you're representing the plus size community," and I'm like, I'm not really, because I'm just one side of the community.
Right.
Yeah.